Hey guys, Tim here, back with another Chicago Northwestern Harvard Subdivision and N-scale update. And as you can see from what you're looking at right now, I have been busy and I've had some travel. You're looking at a clip of me waiting for my train in the DC Metro, which is one of my favorite metros to ride. But the good news is, despite the travel and despite not being home a ton over the past month, I was still able to get some good progress done on the layout. And minus a couple things, primarily we're back to base construction mode and really expanding the size of the layout now that we're making some serious progress on getting the wall addition done. So the one thing that I did fix, as you're seeing as evidence here by the corporate inspection train riding back through, I did fix that rail height issue on the joining section here. I just took my orbital sander and just did a couple quick passes over where this rests, and it was able to resolve the height difference. So I did do that, but the main part of the story is the fact that stuff is now arriving, so I can start. As you can see, it's always good to get 4 model railroad packages in one day. And then also I did a lumber run because it was time to start. Again, my goal is to get the entire first level built and really get back to laying track. And so you can see here I'm starting to build the first of the open grid sections. I built an extension. You'll see why on this it makes sense to join around the corner here. So this is the first section that I added. So the wall's still not 100% done, but I figured while I'm waiting for that, I can work on building the benchwork up to the point where the wall is, so that way once it is done, we can get going. So you can see I built the first section here, and then I built the second section. You'll notice there's some gaps there. That's because I debated moving where the switch and the outlets are, and I realized it really wasn't worth it because of what else I was putting on the walls. So I just wanted to make it so I could get access to where it is. You can see there, and I can totally you'll see once the remaining portions get built, it works just fine. This isn't actually even screwed in yet. It was just that snug of a fit, which was good. Obviously I did screw it in, make sure everything fit appropriately. You can see I'm checking the level, make sure everything's nice. That bubble's right there in the middle where I want it to be. Now obviously as you're looking at it, it is screwed in. The leg is added in for stability's sake. I haven't gone back and done corner bracing on the legs yet. With as little weight that's currently on it, it's fine as is. But then you can see I added the section that goes across the window. It's not an egress window. This is not a window that can open, so I'm not really worried about the fact that I'm covering it up. But again, you can see just how much, this is as much of the benchwork that I was able to build, but it's still a good, 20 more feet of running space. And you can see I then went through and started to measure getting the plywood put on. Because again, my goal is to be able to, I want to be able to run the main line all the way around. I tried to do something a little bit different. You can see I clamped on one end of where the fascia board will be. I wanted to figure out what would be a good looking curve as far as the fascia is concerned. And then I just traced the pencil line you can see following that on the plywood, because this will all be foreground scenery. So I don't have to really be mindful of the radius as far as the track is concerned, because it'll be several inches in. But this way it'll be a good, nice looking flow once I get the fascia installed eventually. So you can see that's how I cut it. And again, I'm not really going to touch the scenery again for a while. I realized I really just need to get back to basics and get the track all done. Make sure the wiring looks good, so I can really, run trains. I can always add scenery later. You can see this is me getting the plywood actually screwed in, and I'm switching bits out because I'm countersinking as well to make sure it's really nice and flush before I put the foam on. But I just figured this needs to be my focus for the next little bit, because to have the first level of the layout completely done, make sure that it's, the wiring is good, that there's smooth track work, that there's no joint issues or anything, because then I can start to, work on scenery as I see fit. While this is all going on, by the way, finish the last layer of drywall mud, because it took a good 3 or 4 coats to get it to be where we wanted it to be. So again, this is all kind of happening simultaneously as my buddy was available. So I kept on working. You can see I did the same thing where I checked kind of the fascia, how I would like that curve, and then I cut the plywood accordingly. You can see my hobby station is still going to be kind of there temporarily. with some of the Warhammer stuff that I'm working on. It's fine where it is, but where it actually is right now, that'll be an extension that comes out, and that will be one of the local jobs, and I'll show you on the map here probably next time. But then obviously, again, in between, as I'm working on stuff, had to paint, because then the only thing left to do after painting is putting the tiles for the drop ceiling back in, and then just the trim at the very bottom. I'm not going to trim the entranceway at all, but I am going to obviously trim down at the floor of the wall there to keep it consistent. And again, I'm excited that I'm back to working on this part of the layout, because it's been a little frustrating just because I can't really run trains. But by getting the first level done, I'll be able to run from staging yard to where the helix will be, which is significant. You know, we're talking 40, 50 feet of running. So then I can really truly run a pretty decent long train and have it run through, and then I can go back and add, you know, the backdrop and start working on scenery. The main reason why I'm happy to take a pause on scenery is I've made the decision that I really want to try and scratch build as many buildings as possible to have it reflect the actual, you know, Arlington Heights, Palatine, the communities that the trains are going through. It'll be a little different because, again, it's an alternate reality where the CNW still exists, but I want it to be close enough to reality where people from the area or that are familiar will recognize the spaces the trains are passing through. So you can see, and I took this quick video just as I got done with the final coat of paint, so you can see kind of where I took the brushes, but you can see, minus the paint needing to dry, you can see that with the exception of adding the trim back in and the drop ceiling, we're good to go. So that's why I didn't completely finish the benchwork yet, because I still need to have my buddy come back and help me finish with those two pieces. But I cut the foam down to what the size that I wanted it to be for the area that I did get installed, and then you know laid down the latex caulk, and then weighed it down to make sure it was a nice snug fit on the benchwork, just with whatever I could find that was heavy to weigh it down, and then I started working on Roadbed. You can see I was fitting some of the flex track to make sure I had the curve that I wanted properly, but you can see the issue. You know, I've got this road that I'm paving. I decided, although I am pausing on scenery, to build, you can see I have it measured out, using 3mm styrene and then some I-beams, just what will be a brief bridge that it'll go over. So I wanted to at least get that installed, so that way the track can run over it. I can add the sides, the rails, all that piece later. And you can see on this clip I did give it a base color of a dark gray. I'll go through and give it a proper painting later. I'm going to slide the roadwork underneath it, but you can see here I'm laying the roadbed down, and then I realized I ran into a bit of an issue because I ran out of roadbed. So this is as far construction-wise as the progress is going to go on the layout. I'm waiting for my next round of roadbed to get in, to continue the work in laying the track, and I also want to get the backdrop installed, because depending on how that's going to curve, that might impact things. But one final thing I want to show you is I did get one new Scale Trains locomotive. It's an AC 4400. It's the former SP, the faded former SP. I just thought it'd be cool to have, kind of honor another fallen flag. So I got it on real quick. It runs great. You can see I'm creeping it up on the speed, checking the sound. Everything looks good there. And then I decided this would be a good chance to really test and see if I had truly fixed that track height issue with the lift out section and the rest of the layout. Because scale trains, they look great, but they're also pretty finicky models. So I figured this would be a good test. And you can see it goes over it no problem. And then I wanted to run it back too to make sure that it would run the other way no problem. I think I will, from time to time, finish this section of the scenery just to have kind of some nice, again, a nice fully finished, because you can obviously see, while in the foreground there's the Heller Lumber area, in the background you can see pink foam. I think it will be nice to close that just so you can have one fully scenic scene for the trains to run through, where you can see it ran through that. And then I figured the ultimate test, I put my other scale trains, ET44, on the consist, and then a bunch of auto racks, because the auto racks, again, look great. They're awesome, but they will really test if your track is done well, just because of how kind of delicate and fragile, I don't know if fragile is the right word, but finicky is the right word, the models are. But you can see it ran across great. Really happy with how it looks. And again, I'm excited to be able to run longer trains. But you can see what I mean in this. I really want to get the scenery finished so that way, you know, I can do at least one area where trains pass through and it looks somewhat prototypical. But here's that same concept moving through from a different angle. And, you know, again, in my world, the GM plant at Janesville never closed, and so there would still be frequent auto rack traffic. You can see these are all scale trains with the exception of this final graffitied one. That's the micro trains graffitied one. But that's where we're at. So I just wanted to, so I feel really good with the progress that I've been able to make. I've got some travel again coming up here soon. I'm going on just a trip with my wife, and then I have some more work trips to do. But my goal is to keep working on getting the bench work all the way around. And to get that wall done, because again, my goal here in the next month or so is to truly have the first floor all laid out and around, and have a train run from staging yard to where the helix will be, and that'll be a really nice milestone to accomplish. So thanks. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel and grow my reach. And we will be back with some more construction updates and hopefully having the trains running on some new sections of layout pretty soon. Thanks, everybody.